treat tonight. To kick us off, we are going to do a little bit of viewer replay analysis. Need a couple things here. Quick things, just let the viewer know that we're about to go for here. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and just start. I don't know if Hampaants is here yet or not. But either way, I'm gonna do a YouTube VOD and I'm gonna send this over. So, should be good to go. Oh, okay, you are here. Awesome. Alright, so the first thing that I want to do is just talk very, very generally broad strokes. We're not even going to talk anything about this replay yet. I have it loaded, but I'm just going to leave it paused for a minute and just talk about general approach kind of stuff. So there are a billion and one ways to improve at StarCraft, right? Like at the level that Hampaants is at the level that I'm at, and really like probably most people viewing who aren't like GMs who are coaching me, right? If you're not like master GM, it is probably true that there are enough gaps in your play in like various areas that you can kind of just pick, right? Like you can kind of almost just say, well, okay, either, so you can kind of do it one of two ways. You can do it on the I'm going to optimize my fun method, right? Which is like I'm going to improve at the thing that I want to improve at, right? That will stream's lagging. That's not good. Whoa, that's totally not cool. Hang on, let me look into that. Run a speed test real quick. My internet speed is like actually crazy good despite how terrible America legislates net neutrality. Yeah, that's weird. We shouldn't really be lagging. Okay. If you keep, hey kitty cat, I love you, but it's stream time, sweet boy. If the lag keeps up, you know. Okay, so kind of just finishing up that thought. Dude, I'm telling you, I love you, sweet cat, but you can't sit in my lap right now. We're not gonna be able to crush nerds that way. It's not gonna work. Okay, so yeah, like I say, there's a bunch of different ways that we can approach it, and you can kind of either take the angle of I'm gonna work on what's fun. I'm gonna do a video on this. I said it in part of my Reddit thread the other day. But there's kind of this idea of like, the best thing that you can do for yourself if you're new and you're learning is to not get depressed and quit playing, and or to have a really fun time so you want to play extra games, right? So that's kind of one angle that you can take on this. I'm just going to work on what's fun. The other angle that you can take, okay, the lag's better, great. The other angle that you can take is sort of, I love you, sweet kitty, but we can't. We're gonna YouTube VOD this, and the YouTube VOD is just gonna be me telling you can't be in my lap right now, buddy. Okay, I'm really sorry. This cat is super insistent right now, which is weird because I've spent like all day with him. Okay, so the other concept is I'm gonna identify the area where I'm weakest, and I'm just gonna fix that. And the reason to do that is that you're gonna get the most gains. The reason not to do that is that it might not be as fun. So I'll kind of leave that as like an exercise for the viewer, right, of where you want to go, but I'll kind of describe some approaches, right? So there's some stuff in the 3 replays. So I watched all 3 replays that Hampaants sent me. And there's definitely stuff that I would place in kind of that fun category of like, the way that engages get taken, and army compositions, and like all of the stuff that you think of that's like cool about StarCraft, right? Like, there's definitely stuff we can dig into there about getting information and harassing, you know, all the like the strategy, army fighting stuff, right? Which is like super interesting and way more fun. So that's like one direction that we can take it. The other direction that we can take it, so if you think about it, like you're gonna fight an actual person, like you're gonna get in a physical confrontation, right? So one way that you could be better at that is to sort of learn about martial arts, right? You can learn how to use your body in a more intelligent way and be able to potentially overcome somebody who is even physically stronger or faster than you, right? That's one approach. That's kind of what I'm calling the fun approach of, I'm going to kind of work on, getting good engages, right? Where I have a concave and having a good army composition and information. That's what I'm calling sort of the martial arts side of it. The other side of it is just to be stronger and faster, right? Which is a little bit less interesting, right? Like, it's way more fun to go take a martial arts class than it is to just go hit the gym and get stronger and faster, right? The analogy breaks down a little bit because I think taking the martial arts class would make you stronger and faster, but if we pretend that's not there, the analogy works. So what I'm going to talk about, because the first one, the engages and information gathering and harassment and all that, that's very, very specific, right? So I could show Hampaants one or two things in each of the 3 replays that I was sent, and they're going to be wildly different. It's going to be really, really hard for me to kind of offer up information that's going to be broadly applicable. It would improve Hampaants' play, right? And potentially we could get into some of that down the line. And I'm having this exact same experience, by the way, with the people who I'm asking about StarCraft and how to improve too. So, like, everything that I'm telling you, I basically just figured out. I don't think that I'm like some genius of StarCraft or whatever. These are just, so I don't have a lot of time to do this, right? I have to really, really, really maximize my practice. And so I think a lot when I'm not playing, like when I'm on break at work or whatever, about how I can most carefully optimize my practice time. So that's kind of where I'm sharing this from, basically, is I'm a dude who works a full-time job and has a relationship and has side projects besides StarCraft. And so I want to practice effectively. So I think we're going to get the most value out of the sort of let's hit the gym half of the metaphor. And so to that end, we're going to talk about some really, really seemingly boring stuff that basically is all of the stuff that took me from very low silver, like barely silver, almost bronze, up to top of gold pushing plat. This is literally the only handful of things that I did. Okay, so let me get my notes. Okay, so you do a pretty good job on kind of the very, very beginning of your opener, right? Like the pylon goes down pretty much immediately at 100 minerals. That's perfect. Same thing with your gateway. That goes down in all 3 of your replays. It goes down like immediately at 150, which is great. It breaks down a little bit after that. So I looked at the assimilator timing, and there are instances where you get up to about as much as, I think it was like 140 or 150. Oh, you know what it was? It was, okay, this is important actually. Let me back the video up. Hopefully you do it in this one. You might not. There were some where you got the assimilator like immediately, and there were some where there's a little bit of a delay. So let's just see if I can show you it here. And if not, I'll tell you about it. It's a seemingly really small, unimportant thing, but it's going to matter a lot as you rank up. Okay, so it might not be that pro. Let me see. Okay, yes, it is here. So, all right, so check this out. So you have a worker making, right? And you queue up a second one, which normally is good. We're going to talk about this again in a minute. You never want to fill this, which I see that you know, because you're never filling it. In fact, there was one little second in one of your replays where you accidentally filled it, and I saw that you clicked off the 3, 4, and 5. So perfect, you got that down great. And you seem to know that you kind of have this, you want to get this bar almost completely full, and then queue in your other one, so there's no delay whatsoever. So that's great. Except in this instance, right? So you make your pylon, you make your gateway, you have one making, right? So the nexus isn't idle. And then you have 50 minerals right here, and you have, we're red, right? And you have 65 right here. So if you were to, I can, but you can't see the cost. It's 70, I think. It's either 70 or 75. I really should know that, but I don't. So if you were to have not queued this and used some of this money, you could have built the assimilator, right? Which I believe costs 70. And then if you look at it, we're going to watch really, really slow. You're going to see up here you're going to hit 70 before this starts making, which means you have the entire 75. Okay, thank you. You're going to have the entire 125 right as this guy finishes, right? So let's watch. Okay, so right here, you have 75 for the assimilator, and you have 50 for the probe. But if you do it in the reverse order, then the assimilator gets done way, way quicker. Make sense? So that's the first point. And the reason that's going to matter is that it kind of starts to snowball into a bunch of other things. For instance, your mothership core, your warp gate, and your adept. Okay, so this is another really cool thing about Hampaants talking to me about replay analysis and how to improve and stuff, is that he and I have like almost exactly similar style. We want to play a defensive, safe macro game. We want to not die to anything stupid, and we like robo units. So we're like the exact image, just like a few hours of practice removed, pretty much, which is so awesome. Okay, so yeah, the gas from this, right, and also the rate at which you transfer, which I want to say I remember you being pretty good at, is going to feed into how quickly you can get the mothership core, the warp gate, and the adept, which is going to keep you safe, particularly like in PvT, right, from all the Reaper BS and whatever. So, okay, we're going to go to 120 seconds, where my next point happens. So far, so good. We're making our stuff pretty much on time. This was a little bit late. We talked about that. It amounts to about 6 seconds, which doesn't sound like much, but kind of will be later. And most importantly, we're doing this technique, right? The probe gets made while the other probe is about to finish. And then what we see at, I believe it's 120. Okay, so it's at this point in the game, Hampaants is now trying to do other stuff, right? And this is the exact struggle that I had. So I can't even tell you guys how much I relate to this. So you got your probe, right? And you're trying to scout, and you're trying to figure out what's your opponent doing. Am I getting cannon rushed? Like, am I going to get attacked? Like, are they taking a nexus? There's all this crap going through your head, right? And what happens, right? Let's watch. What happens? Oh, crap. We stop doing the probe thing that we know Hampaants is capable of doing. We just watched Hampaants do it for 1 minute and 20 seconds. Every single probe is coming out perfect, right? And then you throw in other stuff, and it throws a wrench in the macro, right? Now, let's be clear about one thing here. If I were to jump forward to 4 minutes or something like that, Hampaants' opponent has the same number of probes. It isn't like Hampaants is bad at this. It's just that in Silver League, this is kind of how people play, right? Like, you're struggling to do all this stuff, and you let the macro slip. I'm doing the same thing in high gold, low plat, as I'm trying to add in pressuring, scouting extra and stuff. I'm letting the macro slip too. But I'm trying really, really hard. I'm super mindful to not do that because, yeah, microing, scouting, continuing to macro is super hard. Micro in general, yes, is super hard. One thing that I like to do is, all right, so I get this down, right? Pylon, gate, and I'm making my my probes, right? As soon as this gate's down, I send the probe across, I make another probe because it's time to, right? And then I don't worry about that probe for a minute. I focus completely on getting the assimilator down. As soon as the assimilator is down, and I make sure that my probe is making, I have a minute. I know there's a little break where all I'm doing is waiting for this to pop and waiting for a probe to make. And at that point, I can kind of shift, click, rally around my opponent's base everywhere that I want to see. I can even loop it a couple times if it's Protoss, and I need to look for the second pylon. And what that allows me to do is kind of gather the information passively, because I don't have the APM for it. And if my probe gets killed, my probe gets killed, right? I'm going to see at least some buildings, right? Like, I'm gonna see whatever I saw, and cool, that's, you know, if I need to send another one to get more information, then whatever, but I'm gonna have my macro on point. That's kind of the way that I do it. So, okay, we talked about the probes. Let me look at what other stuff here. Okay, so we're gonna back up a little bit more, and we're gonna look at the cyber core timing, because again, this feeds into a lot of super, super important stuff in your build, in terms of being safe and not dying to something stupid as your opponents start to get sharper timings. So it's not going to matter for right now. For right now, literally, if you just do this probe thing, if you just tighten it up, you're going to see that by like 5 minutes into the game, there is a cumulative effect of how many more probes and how much more quickly you're getting them. Like if you get even a couple out, it's basically a hockey stick graph, right? Like it exponentially increases because of the way that mineral gathering over time and making more workers and making more production goes, right? So if you tighten that up, this is back to the gym analogy, you're gonna be stronger and faster than the other guy. And it kind of doesn't matter if you don't actually know how to take a fight, right? You don't need to know MMA or whatever. You're just so much stronger and faster than the other guy. You just kind of punch them and they fall, right? Which is cool because it leaves you room later to work on all the fun stuff. It's like you get the drudgery out of the way. You just get strong and then worry about the other stuff later. So okay, back to this game. And I think I only have a couple more points here because this is actually like plenty for Hampaants to work on. This took me a long time to get this stuff right. Okay, so this probe right now is on its way to make the cyber core, right? But if we look at our money, we have enough for the cyber core, the assimilator, and the pylon, right? And in fact, that's actually what we see. Cyber core goes down. In a second here, the assimilator goes down, I believe. I think. Yeah, assimilator goes down. And the pylon goes down. So these three things could all have happened sooner, right? We almost have enough for our expansion. And actually, let's see, it's PvP, right? So we would want to take one more gate to be safe here, but we have the money for that too. And there's a reason for this, right? Hampaants is concerned about his probe. His probe is getting chased out, doesn't want to lose it. He's wondering about what he saw, right? Okay, the opponent, took cyber core, that looks, normal. But there's a lot going on, right? So if we can tighten these timings up, then we're going to be really, really far ahead, especially if we can do that and count in the probe thing. And then you can pretty much build whatever units you want and just run them over, which feels amazing. Holy crap. Like the first time you do it, you're going to tweet at me and you're going to be like, you're right. It is the best feeling ever. So let me see if I missed anything here. Oh, okay. So I want to talk about, one more thing. Okay, so when we take our expansion, right? So you see what we just did, right? We have this probe, and it was in our base, and we click or hopefully hotkey. I didn't get to see to our nexus, and we build it. We click it down. But now there's this problem, right? The money's gone. It looks like we're not floating money, but the nexus isn't building yet. And the nexus isn't building for the time it takes a probe to walk all the way over here. So what you want to do is kind of anticipate it, and it depends on the map, so this is hard, right? This is going to take you some time, and you're going to get it wrong, and it's fine. It's totally okay. You want to anticipate how long does it take the probe to get there, and how many minerals away from 400 do I need to send it across. A good rule of thumb is like 300. But the other way that you can do it is once you perfect all of this stuff, you could do all of this first and then kind of worry about this guy. And in your PvT and your PvP matchup, you're basically going to go pylon, gate, gas. And I've seen Hampaants do this, so I know this is the playstyle that he likes. Pylon, gate, gas, and then take the expo, come back, and make the cyber. So if you do that, what you're going to do is your 18 probe, right? You're going to rally him here, and you're going to shift click it here. Hampaants, if you keep watching, once we're done with this and I play some games, you'll see me do this in every PvT and every PvC. It's a little bit hard at first, so you might want to do it in a custom game or something, because you got to remember to catch the probe, that 18 probe, because you're going to make a 19 probe, and then you cut for a second till the nexus is done, come back, make this, and then resume production. That's really hard, so don't worry about it for right now, but if you watch me play enough, you'll kind of see how it works. And this is not like something I made up, right? This is just what Protoss do, and I practiced it until I had it down. So yeah, so we want to just tighten that up. If everything I just said is too much for you, you just want to send this guy out at like 300 minerals so that you're building this and the probe is there, like right at 400. And And let's see, Hampaants says in the chat, I think I get overwhelmed and I lose track of what I could be building. Hey, thank you, B-Rain, for the follow. Really appreciate it. We're just doing a little bit of sort of viewer replay analysis right now, and then we're going to go move on to me playing some games and me learning some stuff. Because I do not have all the answers. I'm new to this too. I just want to kind of share what I've learned. But yeah, thank you for the follow. Really glad to have you here. Okay, so I think I had one more thing I wanted to talk to Hampaants about here. Oh, he's saying he thinks he gets overwhelmed and loses track of what you could be building. Totally. Makes sense. So the trick to this is not that people who are more experienced than you and I are don't get distracted, or that they have this like godlike focus or something. It's that you build mental shorthand for things. So that set of things I just described, where I'm constantly producing probes, I make the pylon immediately, I make the gate immediately, I make the gas immediately, I anticipate when I need to send the probe for the nexus, I re-rally my nexus to the minerals, I immediately at 400 minerals throw down my nexus, meanwhile I've got a dude scouting around, whatever. Okay, all of that was really, really hard for me, and all of that took a lot of conscious thought, right? Until I drilled it in a bunch, and I sat there in custom games, no AI, and I just did it, and as soon as I messed up, I'd leave the custom and rejoin it. And so what that does is, in my head now, in a build order, if a pro build order abbreviated this, they would just say standard 19 nexus, which is like, oh, obviously, standard 19 nexus, just go do it, nerd, it's easy, right? But it's not easy. There's like a lot of little finicky game tricks and rallying and shift Q and dudes and hotkey and stuff and camera locations, whatever. Like, it's hard, right? But once you get it down, you just have it in your head as like, okay, standard 19 nexus, like, and it's memorized and it's muscle memory, and now it doesn't take me conscious thought. So it isn't that I'm magically less distractible than a Hampaants, right? It's not that I'm some god of focus. It's just in my brain, it's packaged down into a smaller unit than it used to be. It used to be these 10 things that I have to do at the beginning of the game or I'm gonna die, right? And now it's this tidy little package of like, well, just do the thing you remember how to do because you practiced it a bunch. You don't have to do what I did and go drill it in a custom game. You could just play. You just play games and just try to do your 19 Nexus. And if you lose, you lose. If you win, you win. Cool, whatever. But like, the fact that it's the first thing that you do at the beginning of every game is going to make you get the repetitions in. Day9 once said, remembering a build isn't an indicator of skill or speed, it's an indication of good memory. Interesting. I love Day9's stuff. It's so smart and it's still so applicable. I think a lot of people kind of look past it, right? Because it's about, wings or hots or whatever, and not legacy, but it's so applicable. His drill on, shoot, I can't remember the name of it, but he does this drill where it's like, you have to have a bunch of workers around the map, and you have a warp in location. It's like, look at your mineral, or look at your supply, look at your minerals, look at the mini map. Are you making probes? Make some stuff. Are your robos on cooldown? Cool. Okay, now look over here. Now look over here. Now look over here. Okay, look at your supply. Look at your money. That's a really, really good drill. I'll find you that link if you haven't watched that one. Yeah, I would say it's an indicator of good memory, and it's also an indicator of good muscle memory. It's a combination of the two. It's me knowing in my brain the order that things need to happen, and then it's my hands knowing, okay, when I rally that dude out, right, I'm gonna rally him, and then I'm gonna immediately shift Q here. That is like just a unit in my brain. That isn't a bunch of things. That isn't rally it, then hold shift, then click. It's just rally the dude and shift Q it. B-Rame says, completely new as well. I'm trying to learn anything about TOS. That's awesome. Yeah, so feel free to send me a replay or whatever. If you want, you can get me on Twitter or just friend me on Twitch or whatever. I'd be happy to kind of find some stuff for you too, or just hang out and watch and ask questions and stuff. I'm not an expert. I'm barely platinum. Like, I'm about to get kicked back to Gold League, but I'm working hard to learn, and I try to be very intentional and thoughtful about my practice. So hopefully that can help you out, B-Rame. Okay, I think that was all I had here. But what I wanted to leave you with, though, Hampaants, because you asked, how do I choose good focus goals, right? So I pointed out a lot of, quote unquote problems, right? And we're defining problem here as like not exactly precisely optimally perfect, right? Like, oh gosh, this took 6 seconds too long, right? But as StarCraft players, it's a game of mechanics and strategy, and we want to perfect our mechanics, right? So some areas of improvement we already identified, but how do you translate that into a good focus goal so that you have fun, so that you give yourself a positive feedback loop in your brain and you feel good about playing and you want to practice more? So I have a few here that I wrote up ahead of time. Focus goals for Hampaants. Okay. Yeah, okay, that all fits. Great. So, first focus goal. I would love to see you, Hampaants, just take one practice session, could be, 5 or 10 games or whatever, and all you're going to say is, I am going to get my assimilator done and my cybercore done on time. And that's it. Hey, Adreseth, how you doing, man? Good to see you. We're doing a quick little viewer replay analysis here. Adreseth is a much better Protoss than me, so he would be a better guy to ask about this stuff, guys. But I guess you could also say that in a way, because I have been lower league more recently, maybe I remember the struggle better than some better players. So who knows? But I'll do my best here. So yeah, first goal for Hampaants, right? Just get that assimilator done on time. Get that cybercore done on time. And if you're having that in your head as like you need to completely remove the game win and the game loss from your brain. It does not exist. Your MMR does not exist. Your league does not exist. None of that shit matters at all. Get it out of your brain. The only thing that matters for that practice session, did I get my assimilator down? Did I get my cybercore down? If you can do that mental backflip, and I know it's hard. I know that's hard to do because we're all competitive. But if you can do the mental gymnastics to actually convince yourself that your win condition is this and this happening precisely on time. If you can do the mental backflip, which you'll watch me do on stream every night, and you'll watch me occasionally wrestle with it too. So, I mean, like, you'll see I'm human. It is a struggle, but you can do it. If you do it, what will happen to your brain is instead of striving because you want the game win, you're gonna be like, oh, dude, I can get the win if I just do these two simple things. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna trick you into remembering to do that, right? So, like, if all I have to do to win is make this as soon as I have the 75 minerals, I'm making it, right? I'm not going to accidentally Q2 probes, and if I do, I'm going to cancel the one. I'm going to make the assimilator on time. Same thing with this guy. I'm not going to float to 300 before I make it. I'm just going to make it because I want that win. I want to put up a number. Streaming does help with this because I'm doing it publicly, and I want the number to be high at the end. And also, weirdly, the fact that, like, I could go 0 of 7, right? And you'll still see the number 7. It's like every game I play is ticking the number up, and it's like brain candy. It just tricks you into playing more. So that's kind of my spiel. The other one's no gaps in probe production before 2 minutes. You already have it up to 1:20, so shouldn't be that hard to get that next 40 seconds. It's only a handful of probes, right? Another one that's a little bit harder, choose a pro build. Execute it to within 1 minute late. So look at a pro build like I took a PVZ that was an Adept Immortal Sentry all-in. And in that build, it was like at 6 minutes and 15, you're supposed to have this many Adepts, this many Sentries, this many Immortals, and a Prism, and you're supposed to have Glaives done, right? And then you take a third and you A-move your stuff and you win. Well, when I did it, I could only get all of that by 6:45. And so I said, focus goal, get it by 6:40 or whatever it was. And I just pushed myself to do that a little bit more. And now I remember that build, I do it every PVZ, which will eventually be a problem for me. I'll need to broaden my range, but that's like a really, really good way to tighten up your macro. And it leads more into that fun of like actually doing stuff with armies and whatever. Final one, identify when and if, I will send you that Hampaants off stream. I actually have I have a salt mod that I can give you that you can just load up in arcade. I'll need to make it for that build, but I have one for my PvT as well. They're not like the most pro builds in the world. They're more geared towards being easy to execute when you're new. And I think this is going to be like a great thing for me to share with you guys who are newer. Because you will literally, in the in-game client, you will be able to go click arcade, type in ARET, and you'll see PVT practice, PVZ practice. You load it up. Salt is really kind of buggy and finicky, but it can be a good thing to... Basically, what it'll make you realize is, like, your body and your brain are capable of executing the build, right? You might not at first, but after you do it 10 times or whatever, you'll know my hands and my brain can do it. So if I don't execute it in a game, it's because I'm stressed out and I'm doing other stuff, right? Which is totally fine. But it's just one more tool to use in your practice. It's one more thing to mix in. And I think it helps a lot knowing that you're capable of it. Whereas if you didn't have that, you just wonder, like, am I just, like, not fast enough? What's wrong with me? Can I not remember? Whatever. And Salt is cool because you actually get, like, a voiceover from Gillyweed that's like, make a probe, make a pylon, whatever. Yeah, so that can be kind of cool. It is buggy and it's kind of a pain, but it is helpful. Okay, so final thing is just know when your opponent takes their third. You want to know about the natural too, but I believe I saw you kind of scouting for that. Hampaants has a habit of kind of keeping an observer, like right here, which is a really, really good habit. I really like that. Yeah, Overwolf is good too. The deal with Overwolf is it's a lot less buggy, right? But it isn't an auditory cue, which for me is kind of problematic. Like I'm looking at my screen. I'm not looking over here at whatever like Overwolf is showing me. So anyway, back to seeing the base. It can be as simple as okay, that's the opponent's observer. It could be as simple as like a hold position probe that's like over here, or something that you just peek in, right? And you really just want to know, are they ahead economically or not? That one, I don't think you're going to get as much mileage out of. I would do the other ones first, and then I would make them harder. So like the no gaps in probe production before 2 minutes, if you get that, move it up to 3 or 2.5 or whatever feels good for you. The other really like great thing about the focus goal format is you can self-adjust it to your skill level. So like the thing with the pro build, when I did it, it was like, do this pro build to within 30 seconds. For you, it might be a minute, it might be 45 seconds, whatever, just play with it. But choose something that you're gonna win at first. Or choose something where you're like 75%. Because on ladder, your win percentage is 50% always. Over enough time, it is 50% all the time. And that feels hard. That feels depressing when you go on a losing streak. Focus goals lets you cheat that. It lets you win like 70% of the time if you want to. So that's just another really good way to trick yourself into feeling good about the game. Alright, enough talk, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into some games here. Let's get into some games. Tonight,